set.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It is September 8th, and this is the Policy Drafting Committee. And this is typically the first Monday of the month. Last Monday being a holiday, we are here now. Do we have any public comment?
No members of being in the waiting room.
Great. Then moving forward, then we will approve the minutes from May, from our policy committee meeting in May. I hope you've had a chance to review them. More extensive. We have a motion to accept the minutes of May.
I'll make that.
Thanks. And second?
Second, sure.
All right, Katie and Beth. All those in favor of accepting them signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You. And we will move right through the agenda as is listed, and Beth, we will go as quickly as we can to make sure that we can get you out here on time. The first agenda item is policy 6190, which is the holiday observance. And Lisa, if you did that update, it's beautiful the way that if this is your update, the highlighted, I'm not sure where it came from.
Yeah, I came from a previous meeting. It's been around to all the boards for warning. It's just back here now for the final committee review to go out for adoption. And if folks had any, when it went around to the boards, if they had any changes that they wanted, additional changes, I guess.
Any discussion on this policy?
Are you putting them up?
Did you allow me to share?
I did have one thing to ask the committee, and that was the word promote, to promote. If we could just either change that word or
it says asking me to send a request. I'm gonna send that to you.
There you go.
Yes, it's the goal of the supervisory union to promote and foster understanding, recognize diverse beliefs, and promote mutual respect among people of different race, cultures, economic backgrounds, gender identity, and religious belief. The word promote just makes me feel like we're trying to say that, and maybe I'm just reading more into it, which is why I'm asking for your opinion.
I think it's
understanding,
right, not the religions
not the
themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just me reading it into it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
So we will move this forward, policy 6190, holiday observance.
Go out for adoption.
Thank you. And the next one is policy 1025, which is public complaints about personnel.
This one also went around.
It did.
Yeah, the first four, 1, 2, 3, the first four have all been around for warning. This is those policies coming back for final review.
Can I just ask, sorry if I missed this. I didn't see the policies attached to the agenda item, so maybe I find the draft.
If you click on, when I send the email, and there's an agenda attached.
Oh, there's the packet within the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, if on the word agenda, if you click on it, then it'll bring you to the pack.
Had very few changes.
I think it was more updating, just,
The wording.
yeah, a few words.
So that, I guess the bigger question is, was there any feedback from the boards for us to review it, or should we put this in our final? adoption piece.
None of the boards came back with anything.
I don't think so. I almost feel like they went and in the minutes it just stated that it was accepted or yeah, it was warned.
Thank you, Lisa. So we'll move forward to policy 1090, use of school facilities. This is the same, Lisa?
Where's your, there you are. This has got a few weird markings on it, but.
This is for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion, any feedback from the boards that we need to focus on? I don't remember any either now. Good, hearing none, then we'll move that forward for adoption. And move to policy 5156, student nutrition and wellness. Same situation.
This I remember having feedback on.
And did we get that information from Maureen, Amanda, and Aspen on line 43?
Let me see.
Oh, I mean, I don't know that. What I do know is this was all recommended or given to us by the nurses. So they had looked at what were the new regulations, et cetera, and that's how this came about.
So you feel that we are now in compliance to what has been updated for us and from the feedback from the nurses as well?
From the feedback from the nurses. So, I mean, they do a really good job of.
They do.
I can certainly double check on that before I send it out for adoption.
Thank you, Lisa.
What I recall is starting on line 29, having conversation about the district offering opportunity for students in grades K through 12 participate in at least 30 minutes of physical activity within or outside the school day.
Is that a high school issue, do you think?
That's K through 12.
Yeah,
so
right, but
middle and
yeah,
But
here.
is that where it was? Is that where the difficulty was?
Yes. And it's in accordance with whatever is cited there. That language comes, it actually says moderate to rigorous activity in
Yes, I remember that station. And you were counting that as the gym.
No, it has to be out of
After, or like,
right.
there was a big debate, not big debate, but there was a question on whether it was, does it have to be offered? What happens for the ones that don't choose it, like with sports and that kind of thing?
Right, so we could get around that by saying outside of the school day, sports activities are offered. There are gaps in sports seasons, and I would be interested to know the percentage of the student body that participates, the unique number of students that participate in athletics. You know, you have duplicates for the cross seasons, and many kids don't participate in all three sports seasons. So is it not, I mean, the policy is in compliance with the Vermont School Wellness Policy Guidelines, but I think in practice,
If it's only a year and a half that's required for physical education, does that also change that wellness piece? As far as that meeting that?
the physical education.
We're on page 3 of 6, right?
Yes.
Line 29. The district shall offer
opportunities for students in grades K through 12 to participate. So we do offer that. I understand the gaps between seasons for athletes, but you have after-school programming as well. It doesn't, it's not a requirement though that every student participate in 30 minutes of,
Correct.
okay.
So you feel
Are
like,
we offering enough
yeah,
other?
And are we making it easy enough for students to participate in those offerings?
I would argue if you have a musical instrument and you're playing it, there's a physical piece that is difficult as well.
If you follow the wellness guidelines, the Vermont School Wellness Policy Guidelines, moderate to rigorous activity.
I think the note I'm writing to myself is removing barriers for participation, which, yeah, be a good discussion as to why students choose. The district has lots of experience with the 21st Century Grant. I think it's pretty well documented that as kids get older, fewer of them participate in the activities, although the K through 8 program is pretty rigorous. But there's definitely a decline in 9 through 12 of kids participating in after school. And as you mentioned, once you pluck out the kids who participate in 3 activities a year, when are you getting down to a true number or percentage of your high school population that's participating?
Which you're right, it would be wonderful to have more. And then you're also right when you suggest that it's offered and that you've mentioned that it's offered. And that is what this policy is suggesting, is that it's in the very least offered to students for that physical.
Well, I'm thinking about the 6th graders too, because there's,
Middle school 6th graders, right?
right, because I think for that class in particular, they can't join the middle school teams. They can't join the football team, they can't join the soccer team, they can't join the baseball team.
And they don't have recess.
And they don't have recess anymore at 6th grade, that's taken away. So what does that really mean for the 6th graders?
In that core group middle school.
I mean, we can't, like how much, if we go by that guideline, I think it's off, is it really offered to 6th graders? Like what are we offering them for that particular class?
Don't they still have a special physical education?
It has to be outside of physical education, doesn't count.
But don't they have after-school programs for the 6th graders
Yes,
that do have physical components?
I'm not sure.
Do they all
I am positive.
minutes of moderate and vigorous activity?
I know there's a middle school tennis program, and so I do know that in the very least there's that, but I also thought there
Is
was
that open to 6th graders though?
Yes, yeah. I also thought there was a basketball program at,
Maya basketball.
oh, it is.
Yeah, there's like the town, there's the town sponsored, there's the town sponsored soccer, there's the town sponsored Little League, but it's not offered.
But again, there's a barrier for kids because you got transportation.
And money.
It's a cost.
And it's not something that SVSU is offering either.
But as part of the policy allows the board then to go back and say, are we doing enough to offer kids? Like you said, I like the word gap. Where are the gaps? Great, we have athletes who participate or kids who are participating in theater, which I would argue is physically, can be physically demanding and to watch the rehearsal for a dance number.
Is when I did it in high school.
Or even singing. 'Cause-
But the gaps, like who's participating? And the 6th grade is, you are correct, we still rely on town sports. Although one of the reasons that we now offer lacrosse at the 7th and 8th grade level is because town league couldn't support that grade at that age group. So we scooped it up so that we have lacrosse players for the future. So,
And that being said, this does say it's a goal. So it doesn't say it's a requirement. On that section 5, it's a goal for physical activity.
I took some notes. Policy in place allows you to raise the question continuously and come back and see what's being offered.
So are you suggesting that we not move this forward for adoption and wait another month, or to move it forward and still look at these specifics?
Oh, I didn't have a suggestion.
Well, I mean, my thought is if it doesn't move now, it's not gonna go back to the boards again. Because they've all seen it for warning. I mean, I suppose we could send it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Um,
So you believe that we should move it forward, yet still look for those opportunities?
Because the opportunities might be outside of what this policy says. It's what you said, Tim, that,
Well, I think it supports Beth's concern.
Mhm.
It's a policy of this board that we support this goal. The board would then say, we'd like to see evidence from the K through 12 grade level. What are you doing? And if there's gaps, then pointing out the fact that you need to fill this gap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem moving forward. I think as written, it follows the guidelines of what we need to do
Yeah.
by the standards. It's just, it is something that I think
figuring out how to do it.
I'm following up.
Okay, so let's move it forward.
The only thing I need a few minutes to check on is whether that is a goal or a requirement. So if those items are listed as goals in the policy, but it's actually a requirement, and I'm looking at the local wellness policy guide, then it shouldn't say goals at the top.
And that is absolutely true. If you can find it quickly, that would be lovely. I believe all of the policies have to go through legal before they are finalized. Would stand by.
That's what I'm saying. Anything here was provided by, the nurses. Almost think it was physically grabbed and pasted in. I won't swear to that.
We can come back to that policy because we're able to approve everything as a slate, and that would be great. EQS rule 2120.5, like,
And what does it say?
each school shall offer options for students in grades K through 12 to participate in at least 30 minutes of physical activity within or outside of the school day. Physical activity may include recess and movement built into the curriculum, but does not replace physical education classes. So to your point in using that goal language as well, it's a goal, it's not required. I don't think it's a goal, I think it's required. But we should.
Is Dina on here? Is she?
Yeah, the language you just stated is actually B.
I
in
am-
that section.
Yeah, I understand. I'm matching it, and I'm saying, one, I don't think we're fully compliant. And two, if Sandy's interpreting up top, where it says goals for physical
Mhm.
activity, then it's not a goal, it's a requirement. So that goal piece, to use a different.
If you want Dina to input, Tim, you may speak to let her
Yeah.
speak.
She is not muted.
I'm not
Okay.
muted.
Would you be kind enough to weigh in on this?
The question you're asking is what, I'm sorry, Lisa, can you go back up? I have to be very clear about this, is that when this was put forward, it went through a group of all of the nurses,
Correct.
and I had nominal input by my choice on it because it's much more within their purview than mine for what the topic is. So the concern is about goal. A goal is something you're aiming for. So I guess that's what I would say. But you do have language that says shall provide physical education classes, which you do.
So the goal is the B section, the opportunities to participate outside of
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. You do that. I mean, you offer sports. So the moment you offer sports or the moment you offer any other kind of activity, you've hit your goal. So, sorry, hold on. So, I mean, that's how I would look at it. I have to say, when I read it, the only one I'm really concerned, the one I'm more concerned about is C, because if we're withholding recess, then I'm gonna have a problem with that, but.
I said you can't.
Right, that's, yeah, I like that, it says that you can't. I think it is taken from Sandy, though, a basic, I think it's from a state,
It's a policy guide. It's
yeah.
reference.
I do. But I do think that the nurses went through it. I mean, it would be, I think, if you have questions about it, a question to Ashley Walker, who's sort of like the unofficial head of the, for contact person for dispersing stuff among the nurses.
The one piece that came back at the elementary board meeting was at least two physical education classes per week.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure, I know that it doesn't happen in some of the schools. So I don't know, and I know that that was something that was being looked into. That was before you came on, Superintendent Payne. But it was something that they were hoping to have addressed by this fall.
We have several schools that are not offering, is that twice a week?
Not twice a week, once a week and not twice. But that was last spring, and I don't know if that has changed or not. I will probably know until the next board meeting, or until this comes around and goes through, whether that has changed.
So I think I would just like to change that subheading, goals for physical activity.
If we just took out the two words goals for and just put physical activity, would that help to define that category?
I think so.
Does that cause an issue, Lisa, by moving up two words, goals for?
That's me, I make it up.
It's in alignment with the other bullets, national or nutritional guidelines.
I guess my question is, if I found that exact wording, if I contact Ashley, like tomorrow, and find that exact wording that says goals, and it's in the information that's coming down from the state or the USDA, would you want to keep it? I mean, if this is verbatim.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it under legal requirement. EQS Rule Series 2000. This is Local Wellness Policy Guide, revised August 24th, 2023, issued by the Vermont Agency of Education. Like, I'm looking at what they copied. It doesn't say goals.
Okay.
It just says physical activity.
Yes, each school must offer options for students in grades K through 12 to participate. This is something about goals. It's set up so that there's like a column that is the legal requirement, and then next to it is the model policy language. And I'm looking in the legal requirement column.
So for Lisa and I's homework, the request is Roman numeral number 5, simply be physical activity.
Yeah.
We'll double check that to the nurses to make sure there's no issue with it. I agree that it falls in line with, right above it in 4 is nutritional guidelines. There's no goals for it. Okay. If that is okay with everybody, we can make that change in policy
Would that work?
as drafted.
Yeah, and I think then the next step is right to follow up on how is this being.
We
Okay.
asked about that gym thing too, not offering it twice a week.
I have that question on there too. Frequency of physical education classes, K through 12.
So I made that I went ahead and made the change, and as long as it says okay, and nurse say, it's gonna go around for adoption with that change.
So we'll look for it the next board meeting. It hits first.
Tomorrow?
No, it's too soon. It's too soon.
Next week.
So we'll move on to policy 6382, home study programs.
And
Is this a new?
This is one that has not been reviewed recently, and it might just need a review.
question about sports, and I don't know that it's, yeah. Participation in special programs. I don't know that it calls out sports teams.
But that is permitted.
So it is permitted, right, and up
Be a
top,
special program. Participation in a special-
right,
Yeah, could be in our,
It's on the last page under participation in group curriculums.
Oh.
It's all right. But it is clearly,
Well, that's-
sports participation is permitted under the rules of the VPA. So there's some attendance, expectations around that, but
so my question is, in the second, not trying to be exclusionary, in the second paragraph of this policy,
What page?
what line?
Page and line, sorry.
of the whole policy, so page 1, line 11. Appropriate school activities and programs will therefore be offered to students as available in the absence of a budgetary, school climate, or adverse educational impact on enrolled public school students. If you have a sports program that's making cuts and you have 15 MAU kids and you have 3 Grace Christian kids and they can only take 15 kids, are the Grace,
But they're not homeschooled.
I'm sorry,
Right.
but we do have that situation, don't we?
yeah.
We have Grace Christian students.
But they're not homeschooled. That's
Yes,
different.
yeah, I understand. Let me take it back.
Okay.
So say you've got 3 kids, still have that question.
That's a different.
But I understand. If you have 3 homeschool kids and 15 MAU kids and there are only 15 slots on the team, can the homeschool kids displace at the risk of adversely impacting enrolled public school students?
It does say on line 13, as available.
It's a good question. Honestly, the only time I can, if you ask me for a current example of a homeschool kiddo participating, they're in sports that don't do cuts. So I'm not a good source for that, but I'm happy to ask that question. Because my previous experience was in Massachusetts and there are clear rules about, but that's not even for homeschool kids, that's for cooperative teams where you're combining. So I can find that out for you, but I don't know that for sure. And I know I've already signed off on at least one request for a homeschool athlete this fall. But again, it wasn't a sport that usually has to make cuts. Like a soccer is probably the one example in the fall I could think of if they decided to carry. Although then there's an opportunity to play gender varsity too. But it doesn't answer your question of like, well, wait a minute, what if I'm an MAU kid and now I've been bounced off of MAU's varsity squad, now I find myself sitting on the JV squad. I'll ask Mike that question, how that looks like.
Can I also think the VPA probably can answer it for you too?
It's an interpretation of this, the language in this policy, right? About access, about adverse educational impact.
As available. I like those words, as available.
If there's a spot on the team that needs filling.
I don't think I think that it is, I believe that both would benefit. And I believe that if you are attending full day as a full-time student, that this implies that you might have that first dibs on the activity. And maybe the BPA will have something that will clarify that.
Yeah, on page 4 of the policy, lines 15 through 18 speaks to home studies students may be permitted to, and then the last one is participate in sports activities provided reasonable notice of request to participate. We usually get that well in advance. Any additional expenses paid by the parent. There is space available, so that is the question we want to have clarified by Mike. What does that mean? Does that, you know?
That particular information is in the admin regs because this is the policy as it is right now.
In that very first line of that policy, is it possible that we could take away those first 5 words in the belief that resident and just start home study students and regularly enrolled public students can benefit from jointly participating in appropriate school activities?
But if that would, just that was advocate, if it's the child's homeschooled, but in a different state, they wouldn't be eligible.
So I would leave resident.
Resident.
That's why it's
Oh,
resident.
okay. So resident home study students. And then put a period after the school activities and programs. Or a semicolon, one or the other. Maybe a semicolon instead of a comma. Anything else in this policy that we want to consider?
I don't know if you want to, wait, can you roll up so I can see? So home study programs, there's a limitation that AOE looks at of how many classes you can take before you pop over and not be a home study student. And I don't know if you want to add that into the policy. And I would have to go back and look just so that people are on notice. You know, sometimes you have parents who get upset and they say, I'm going to home study my kid, and then they want them to show up for 4 out of 5 classes. That's not home studying.
Does the words by law as legitimate enrollment, the alternative? Is there a piece in here, if we're talking about home study programs, that we should share that the home study curriculum has to be shared with the AOE, I believe, or anything to that nature? Or is
Yeah,
this more?
I mean, that to me, Sandy's a regulatory thing for them.
Mhm.
And when I say them, I mean AOE. And,
Oh, okay.
and also for the parent, right? They have to have a licensed professional go over it, they have to, at the end of it, be provided, they have to go through AOE and provide it to AOE. I just want to make sure that it may not be what your policy is looking at. But you know, you're saying in here that they're going to be able to consult with teachers, that they'll get copies of your curriculum, loan of textbooks or others. I mean, I don't see these as necessarily being inappropriate or bad. I just didn't know if there's a spot in here to say like, you know, home study is defined,
By,
right, by, its AOE does do it. And I'd have to go back and take a look at, I think it's actually like something like 30% they'll do.
I think it actually, and there's
Is it-
something, Dina, in the last 2 weeks, I've signed off on it, and it has a specific number, like,
Yeah, it does.
you have to take 3 out of 4 core subjects at home in order to qualify
Yeah,
for.
they're very big about it because they had a huge amount of applications during COVID, right? And then now they have residual issues with it, I think.
I can't remember where I read that, if it was on the application that the parent provided, but I did read it as part of the document that I signed.
Yeah, I can find out very quickly from them where it is. I just didn't know if that's part of what it looks at. Yeah, it would be under your participation guidelines, basically, in your administrative regs, I think.
Okay, that's what I figured.
I believe this came up because it was one of the very old policies that we.
Oh, yeah, it is. Wow.
Updated.
Sorry,
Just a little bit.
it's a little old.
So the policy part itself, can that go for warning?
Are we at all concerned about the, sports part, the BPA, or not?
I'm happy to give you a real life example of it. I mean, if am I correct that, correct. I'm happy to give an example from Mike though, that what happens in the situation where you're making cuts.
Well, yeah, I think,
Soccer, baseball, and basketball are all the ones that would jump to the top of my head as far as,
right,
like, for softball where you're making cuts for kids.
there were cuts on golf this year too.
Really? Wow, okay,
I mean, there was a varsity squad and then there are just people who have limited practices.
okay.
And I don't know about lacrosse yet. I think, you know, the policy is that, I think the question would be if it's the intent of, if it is our intent that availability means that a home study student would not displace a publicly enrolled student, for instance, there, then
A full-time student.
right, there's language in the policy. The question is, do we need to make that explicit? Would that availability question be up to interpretation by later boards? You know what I mean? All access means the program is offered.
It is offered.
Right. Yeah.
But it sort of does when it says, when it talked about when the actual criteria of, or is it if there's space? If there's, I don't remember how the exact.
That's available, yeah.
Dina, would we do ourselves a favor and answer that question in the administrative regs? That, like, you'd have to have the athletic director walk you through the participation and eligibility. The other piece is isn't there a piece that shows like what defines it as? Having to put that in there as your home study in 3 out of 4. I read that something in the last 2 weeks. I know I did. But would that be addressed in administrative regs, or do we need to clarify that you can't displace a full-time student on athletics in the policy?
I like it in the admin regs.
I think it would be a good idea to have it in admin.
Cause that way if the state changes or if things change on the state level or down the line, it's easier to make that adjustment.
It's also what the administrator is going to reach for when explaining to a parent, correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they should be looking at the policy first, right? And then the follow.
But the regs would actually walk you through as far
Right.
as.
Yeah.
The specifics, why it may be allowed or denied.
And then my follow-up question, not whether to approve the policy, but would just be, how do coaches get that information?
Your idea would guess
Sorry.
the athletic director
Right.
should, anytime a policy goes through, it is, I believe, as part of the policy that the administration is required to share it with the people that are in the building, so that there is communication. And if that isn't happening, I think it always falls back on the superintendent.
Mike holds a training of coaches and information meeting is required for everybody at the start of the season. I can ask, does this get covered as well, as far as cuts are concerned? Yeah, in other settings, I know we've had to address this, so I'll talk to Mike. He's got a good program going with his coaches, things like that, so I can bring that back for reassurances.
That being said, then if I understand you all correctly, we will move this forward.
Just be the warning process, so if there is additional feedback at the board level, that can be brought back once he makes his full round.
We have consensus on that,
Mhm.
yes? Good, thank you. We are on the policy of policies, policy 1000, policy drafting committee. I also took it upon myself to pull out policy 7195 and 7194 and give you copies. And I don't know whether it is something that we would like to consider as adding the policy of policies. So this to you. So I highlighted on these two new policies, and that policy 7194 is a policy review and evaluation, and 7195 is the policy on active regs. And so as we're looking at this, my question is, do we add this as part of the policies, or do we leave it separate?
So Dina,
Mm-hmm.
at home, 7194 is policy review and evaluation. And 7195 is execution of policy administrative regs.
I think you probably should be looking at all of them at the same time, wouldn't you? Is that what the question is that you're asking?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is exactly it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at these.
7194 says the superintendent or designee is responsible for calling to the board's attention all policies that are out of date or for other reason appear to need revision.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate Sandy handing this out. This comes from I feel like we've covered this a little bit in our planning meeting, talking about a process in which to go through the policies and what needs to be updated. Case in point, the last one was updated, 98?
Mm-hmm.
97. And then the second one, 7195, the board shall be kept informed of all proposed changes in administrative regs and procedures.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a preparation, informing to the question Beth had. What's the regs look like for a homeschool kid that's going to participate on an athletic team that has cuts?
Right. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that stems out of the statute, right? Both of them do. They're both statutorily defined. So if you want me to take a look at them real quick, I can take a look at them, not tonight, but I can take a look at them and give feedback on them. I mean, I think one of the things I would say about the policy adoption process, the one I'm looking at right now, and I don't know if it outlines the 10-day public note, like there has to be that 10 days for the public to have notice that something's going to be adopted.
That is a question I had up for you at some point. If we start with one board and that board has in it, it outlines the description of what the policy is. And then it needs to go through all of the other boards. By the end of the process of going through all the boards that has exceeded the 10-day,
Yep.
does that cover it if it has gone through all the boards? Does that qualify in meeting that 10-day requirement of the law?
No, it's each board for 10 days, because each board is a separate and distinct legal entity. So each board has that limitation. Your committee doesn't adopt, right? Your committee is a committee of the SVSU board. So if you take it to the elementary school board, the first, and I think that's how your policy is, I think we just went through it this way, is that the first four that you had came back to you all, and that's an opportunity for those other boards to provide feedback that they may or may not, if they need it in their estimation to be modified. Then it's going to go back to them, and they're going to have to post it and for adoption, which means that they're going to have to post that they're adopting it 10 days before their meeting. So each board has to do it.
So we haven't ever done that, have we?
But I know what Dina's saying, based on what you were saying, for it to go once,
Yeah.
all the board warnings would have to be done 10 days before that meeting's gonna take place.
Which is not,
That's not feasible.
but I think it's by law is what Dina is sharing with us.
Yeah, that is. It's by the statute.
So how do the other school districts make that happen that you work with?
How do they make it happen that they work with is that they don't necessarily have the same structure that you all have, but you all have had the structure that you're utilizing since prior to 2008. Actually, if you look at what the policy drafting committee policy is from 97, 96?
13, right?
But it was what that,
13, yeah, I mean, they probably redid it, yeah. I mean, so it's been there for a while, right? So, which is that it disseminates from the SU board to the constituent member boards, and then it comes back. I'm trying to think of some clients that have sort of that, yeah, theirs takes a while too. I have another client who does it basically the same way. It takes a while to get policies through.
And that's a concern of some board members, that they feel that it drags a bit, and we're kind of hoping for some type of quicker resolution to the policy.
Well, I mean, one of the things that can happen is that if you're leaving out a meeting here now, and you either make a determination that you're gonna say to Tim, hey, for the SVSU elementary board, say, that they should, be told that, yep, this is gonna come up for adoption, so if we've missed the 10 days for this month's meeting, then it should be absolutely something that they should be warning for the meeting after. And they should be warning it with 10 days.
So to be proactive, even more so than that, is it perhaps possible, I know it will happen in October, to decide in advance which of these policies we will be reviewing before they even come to this committee?
Yeah, I think you can take a look and see, and I think you can give your other boards.
These will be coming up, and if that happens, does that mean at that point, then we would only have to go through it once and not twice? And if no one has any objections, that it could just be the one time?
Right, we have a longstanding objection from Sandgate that they don't like doing any policies, they have very limited policies that they do because they don't operate a school district. And they also meet the least frequent, I believe.
Oh,
Tim would,
Three
Tim and
three
Lisa.
times a year,
4,
well,
Right,
they just canceled
Well,
in September.
right, so now 3.
right.
oh,
And
Usually
so
every
they
3
may,
months.
they may in that essence, for efficiency's sake, get their desire that I have fought them off and they may not have to do all of them.
is there a way that they can, in the way that we do warrants, off-cycle warrants, is it a way that they can somehow meet or help us meet that legal requirement?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some that they don't have to do, I reluctantly say, and make their day. You know, they don't run a school, their schools that they deal with have policies. It'd have to be, like, they're not gonna use a home study. It's not their issue, they don't have a building. They shouldn't have to put the home study one, they would tell you, into play, and they're not wrong on that case. If you look at it, they don't own a building.
I understand and sympathize with them, just looking for some direction for us to,
Yeah, I gotta think about the best way that to move it faster. I think it is an issue of knowing ahead of time before you're setting their meeting, and I think part of it is if you're gonna be doing policies, then part of it is that you're gonna have to warn your member boards meetings earlier on the ones that you're gonna be having policies go through. Excuse
that would
me.
be difficult, I think, for the financial people, wouldn't it? To
To
warn anything, well, among other things. So I guess we need a way to help this process that is legally
Mhm.
binding.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it. I mean, the statute's pretty clear on the fact that you have to have the 10-day notice.
That's prior to adoption though, and that's why I asked if we don't adopt it until the second time around, which is what we have been doing, does that qualify as exceeding that 10 days?
Yeah, I think if they've talked about it, yeah, and if they say in their meeting minutes, hey, this is gonna come back around at our next meeting and we'll adopt it then, yes.
It doesn't have to be adopted in 10 days. It has to be warned out 10 days. So in other words, you couldn't adopt a policy if it's not out in the public 10 days prior.
Prior to adopting it.
Yes.
Right. So my question is, if we are sending it out on its first pass, when it comes around the second time, that's more than 10 days, which is
Yeah, I
fine.
have to think of, I understand what you're
Kinda
asking, Sandy. Yeah, I gotta think about that,
On whether that qualifies.
yeah.
Okay, so,
I mean, I don't necessarily, you know, normally it is hey, we've talked about the policy, we're gonna adopt it. And then the question is then, is every school then at that point warning their meeting 10 days before they adopt it?
well, yes, because it's gone out for warning first. And then adoption, so the warning is separate from the adoption, it's a month or more later. So that 10 days has absolutely passed, but it isn't the adoption, it's the warning that has passed.
Right.
Right. So that's our question. So we can put this on hold, I think, because I know that you want to look at 7194 and 7195. And maybe we can add them all into that one policy and then maybe replace some of maybe have two less policies if we are able to keep them in that one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we will put that on hold, but next time we'll add 7195, which is the admin regs, and 7194, which is the policy review and evaluation. And we will go to this required policy, VSBA V8, electronic communications, which we have the school board copy that is in the packet. Fine. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Well, what I did is I took the model policy
Oh, you already,
and I did a mock-up.
oh, very,
The only thing I did was add the names of our schools, school districts, that's it. I can bring up the actual VSBA policy here. Emma, where are you?
when I was looking at this, I was, wondering why we needed the definition of social media if we're talking about electronic communication. Because,
I think social media and communication is two different things.
you do,
Basic communication is emails, whereas social media are sites that you go to for,
blogs.
But they can have communication between them.
and within them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a way to communicate with another person through them.
Well, and it says electronic communication is any computer communication. So I didn't know if we necessarily needed the second part. Dina, did you look at this by chance? You still with us?
It is.
Still there. Trying to grab the right document.
Dina, are you still with us?
Go forward, then jump back in. It seems that this is a big policy and it seems to me as though it's adding all the admin regs in with it. As part of the policy.
Definitely has some recommendations that admin will come back and give you regulations.
Yeah.
Superintendent shall develop procedures for both receipt and handling of reports filed under this policy.
Which you
We
may,
would do as part of the process anyway.
yeah, you may already have them as part of harassment or another policy. Bullying and harassment, maybe?
But this is required.
Yes.
Can't find one from the state. It's like I said, the state one is the same. I just added our names.
I would ask that we, is this, like it must be done, Lisa? Is this a,
Yep, go, I'm sorry.
just a must be, like we should have had it done by now? Or is this a, we can work on it? It doesn't have it in the, tracking sheet.
Let me look. I'm bringing it up.
Nothing.
Eight. So this is the version that was actually, this is the VSBA one.
Mm-hmm.
So in accordance to Act 5, 2018, adopted to provide guidance and directions. My brain has it in there somewhere that there's also a even more a newer piece of update in that you can't, directions about schools not using social media to communicate to their students, such as you can't use a social platform to say we're going to practice tomorrow at 3 o'clock, because it would then require a student to have a device and access a social media platform to do that. So this looks pretty generic. It looks like a lot of policies in that has clear definitions, what's inappropriate. That's 8 different pieces to that. Procedures is the place where we have to develop process, and who's responsible. Student communication that violates this, employees who violate this, who's taking care of that, and then reporting agencies. It doesn't even give a process into which, so all of that would be work to be done.
So, you see underneath where it says procedures, is that the A and the B that they're referring to, enforcement responsibilities? Is that why it gets longer? I'm looking at the actual,
Yeah, I'm
not
looking.
Lisa's printed version, but the actual one. Do you
Yeah,
see how
that's
it
what
says-
this is.
Okay, do you see how it says C 4A and B below?
Mm-hmm.
Enforcement responsibilities, so are they sharing that is the admin reg? Is that what they're sharing, that they feel could be part of their action regs? Is my question to the group.
It definitely assigns responsibility. I don't think it's clear enough process. Employees shall report by the end of the day. Principal will take appropriate action. All that I would think would have to be to have the student discontinue improper communications. All that could be
Admin,
outlined in admin regs.
so if that's true, so for Glenn and for Katie, do you see where it goes to B, anything below B? And to Lisa, Superintendent Payne, anything that goes behind B seems as though it's part of what they feel could be in an admin reg,
Yeah.
not necessarily part of the policy. So if that's true, then the policy, I believe, stops at the letter B.
But we have to get rid of B.
Oh, yeah,
You're saying, look at A and
And just say the superintendent shall develop? Is that what you're suggesting?
receive and handling reports. I would think just get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do it on this one.
Right.
I don't know if I would remove it. It's probably the sentence that says, please see admin regs for procedures to handle it.
Yes.
I would leave it as a,
I don't know if it would be
because it says what's inappropriate, and then I assume their thinking is that you'll then say, okay, how do you determine? If you determine, what do you have to do next?
I'm thinking of most of our policies that tend to be a little bit shorter, and then the admin regs tend to extend. So my
understand.
question is, in order to keep it looking similar to the other policies, do we line out that C 4A and B below, and then leave that as a period after that policy? And then the things that are below, we could add as admin regs. Instead of enforcement responsibilities, they could go right into admin regs. Bye, Dina. Does that make sense? Katie, also?
Yeah, I mean, I think either way would probably, I mean, whether it says CN regs or stop it at the policy, I'm fine with either way.
Yeah, so, I mean, they will go to our admin regs, if, the policy needs to be referred to or used. I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter.
I thought there was a point at one time, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that we wanted to make the policies a little bit more compact. And then expand in the admin regs so that we had some flexibility when we knew we had to make changes.
Mhm.
And that being said, I'm okay with those 8 definitions. I don't know if 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is the right time. Or I don't know what the right time is to not reach out to a student. Seems late to me, but work with them what you can. Bed by 7.
So this is a PDF. Right now I can't change it.
Sure.
So is it a consensus? I'll remove this, put a period after policy.
And then change that to admin regs.
But that won't go around for warning and adoption.
Right.
But yes, that's what I would do. I would move those down into admin regs. And if everybody likes that, then I can start pushing it for warning.
Well, that. Any
I
other?
think that you're gonna get some people that are gonna be wanting to contribute. you
Good.
know.
And that's why it gets warned at the meetings, that, so whatever happens at those board meetings, if you can bring that back to the policy committee.
I think you may have administrators that want to elaborate here as well.
That'd be fun too.
That's a good idea. They should.
Because what works at, elementary, may not work at middle and high.
Right. Well, then let's do that. And that actually exhausts our agenda for today.
If I stop recording, are you gonna make a motion to?
Do you
I
want
don't know if we need a motion because we're just a committee. To end, but we can make a motion to end.
So make that motion till the end.
I'll second. Okay. All those in favor?
Recording stopped.
Thanks, everybody.
Alrighty.
This is the sun from.
Yeah. And I'm so sorry. Those blinds won't come down.
We know
We
this,
know.
but tomorrow I'm bringing
You're
some.
gonna choose a different seat, aren't you?
No.
You're gonna look pretty silly on camera with an umbrella.